we have missed, we can miss so many incredible, profound stories out there, things that are happening to people right now.
What first sparked your interest in journalism and news presenting?
Got you. Okie dokie. Why did I get into this? Okay, the honest truth, being a journalist and a news presenter was the absolute last thing I ever wanted to be. I couldn't think of anything more dull, more boring. And actually, when I was 17, one of my teachers was like, do you ever think about maybe, broadcasting or, journalism? And I was like, listen, I'm going to be a TV presenter or, anything fun, or I'm going to be a reason to make the news. I'm not going to be like somebody just reading about it. What? And then they don't have any brains, they're just reading. So literally, I just rejected that. And then for my degree, I chose history, and it came with an addition of journalism, and I had my eyes set on a really good university. So I thought, you know what, let me do this. I've been doing history all my life. I love history. So I read history, and then journalism was part of it. And then lo and behold, the more I started doing, I did print, and I thought, yeah, I love this. And then it included also covering broadcast, radio, and I fell in love. I absolutely fell in love with it. But even then, I was still like, I'm not going to be a news presenter. No, I need to be making the news, producing it. That's where the real brains are. So yes, rejection to start with. I need to have a word with my 17-year-old self. But yes, rejected, but eventually absolutely fell in love. If you love history, you can't help but fall in love with journalism, really.
How did you break into British television?
Okay, how did I break into TV? It's just so boring. I'm just trying to think of a way to make it sound more interesting, but there is no way. Just, literally when I thought, okay, yes, broadcasting is what I want to work in, started working in all the local and regional radio stations. Here we go. Actually, this is semi-interesting. So, like when I was a young teenager, I would always look deeper into things. Like I would be so busy connecting dots, how does somebody go from here to there? And I'll just always want to look deeper into how you get ahead. And so with journalism, I was like, okay, look, you want to work in TV, and just doing the rounds, calling, it's crazy hard. I mean, crazy difficult to get in. And I thought, okay, well, there's more radio stations. So maybe if I focus on them, and actually, if I focus on radio stations, which are really small, I bet it'll be easier to get into a small radio station than a big radio station, and definitely easier than TV. So literally picked up the phone, started calling, Romford FM, Dream FM, Chelmsford's finest, and just really focused on the small, tiny radio stations. And lo and behold, when I got in there, I got in there, number one, they were so desperate, they're really underfunded, under-resourced. And so not only were you doing work experience, you actually were doing the job of a reporter, a newsreader. They're sending you out on stories, and then suddenly it's, turns into something paid, not very much. But yeah, literally you got the essence of the training, and then used that, went back to all the TV stations that rejected me, and they were like, no, you haven't got enough experience. And said, hey, what about this? I've been working at Dream FM, Time FM and whatnot. And they're like, okay, you can do some work experience. And yeah, literally that was, I think it was ITV London. They gave me my very first TV entry level role, and they gave me 2 weeks of work experience. And I was like, you know what, by the end of this 2 weeks, they're going to want to keep me. And that's exactly what happened. I found out about freelancing, and then stayed with them as a freelancer.
How has the digital revolution impacted journalism and reporting?
Oh gosh, how long we got? It's changed. Okay, in many ways it's changed so much. In other ways it hasn't. So okay, yes, many people are now getting their news from their phones, from their tablets, their devices, having their own conversations on news, not getting it from the traditional news providers. But then there is also a huge group, particularly older community, that's still getting it from the traditional places, either newspapers and of course TV. So that's one way it hasn't changed, to say this as quickly as possible, because that's a pretty big question. In ways it has changed things for journalism. You just got to talk about the voices, the different voices you are hearing from, a lot of it positive, some negative, but even so, you're hearing from communities and understanding communities better in a way that you wouldn't have in traditional journalism realms. So you've got a rise of different news providers, like Gaudim, and they're speaking to their own communities or wider communities in a way that traditional broadcasters and traditional print media just weren't speaking to them, largely because they wouldn't get that community or they wouldn't have representation in their own newsrooms to even reach out to those communities. And now you're seeing the bigger organizations making a real effort, you're seeing people from places like Gaudim bringing in journalists from there and trying to really change things and shake things up within those broadcasters or print media. But yeah, it's changed things in a huge way in so many areas that it's just not enough time to really cover. But yeah, I thought I'll focus on the kind of voices who are now involved in newsmaking, if you like, and in accessing people in a way which is really so positive, because it can really change things, change the narrative.
As the first Black lead anchor on 5 News Tonight, why is representation important in the media?
Right, why is representation important? Really big questions. Okay, so I tick so many of the minority boxes, right? So I'm Black, in case you didn't notice, woman, and actually from a working class background. I grew up on a council estate, single mum, all of that jazz. And I don't want to say representation is important because I'm a minority or I tick some boxes. So, you need to make sure you look after me, essentially. Representation is important for everyone, groups that I don't fit as well. So as journalists, as broadcasters, you need to make sure you're speaking to your viewers. Not only speaking to your viewers or readers, but you also need to let them know that they can also come to you. Some of the biggest stories out there is generally those where you had whistleblowers, reaching out to broadcasters, to print media, and then giving them an incredible story. And so for that reason alone, representation is so crucial. We could be missing, and we can miss so many incredible, profound stories out there, things that are happening to people right now because you're working in an organization and there's no one in there to tell you what's going on, no one clued up as to what is happening. So, I've mentioned the minority groups that I fit, but we're also talking working class, that is in whites, working class. We're also talking people from other parts of the UK, people from Birmingham, from Liverpool, from Scotland, from Ireland, Northern Ireland. All of these voices are so key and crucial when it comes to accessing and speaking to people. They all live their lives, they all watch news, they all read news. But yes, also, as a Black woman and as somebody who's working class, it's good to encourage other people out there to know that this isn't something that they should or could feel excluded from, that not only can you be a part of it, but you should be a part of it. And you have newsrooms. The whole point of news, right, is getting that exclusive, to speaking to people, to getting those voices. And if you don't have a newsroom which represents all of those voices, the Asian community, the huge Eastern European community in the UK right now, you need to have a newsroom which represents that. And ultimately, there's one really big winner. I'm not even talking about working class Black people, Asians. Actually, the news broadcasters, they're the winners. They'll be delivering incredible news. They will have more people tuning in and actually more people getting in touch with the next big news story. So representation is crucial, but you're not doing the minorities a favor here. You're also doing the broadcasters and the print organizations a huge favor as well.